Hi, everybody. So we just released the early access version of the Flowable products, meaning that you can now play with all the AI features in Flowable Design and in Flowable Work. To showcase that, I have with me Valentin Ziegner on the call, who is going to showcase all of these things in a real live demo. Welcome, Valentin.
Thank you, Joam. So I think the first topic with which we are going to get started with is actually the app generation. So let's look into that. Now we are here at Flowable Design, and in Flowable Design you have that create button. That create button allows you to create a new app. And you had the option always to create or import an app, and now in this early access release, we have also the possibility to generate an app with AI. That is really great to get you started. So let's look into that. We have here the generate dialog where we can provide a prompt. I am going to just paste here a prompt, and that is a prompt I previously have written.
So you're generating, you want a case model for employee onboarding, right? With typical kind of steps and your few examples. All right, let's see what it generates. Because as you know, with AI, whatever comes out is always a surprise. Sometimes we've seen some things that we couldn't even imagine that it would generate. But what's happening now behind the scenes? What's this pop-up showing us, Valentin?
Yeah, so we have here different steps during the generation. And first of all, it's going ahead and creating a data model. And that data model will be then used within our app. The next step is actually generating the app. So deciding if we would like to have a case or a process inside the app.
Yeah.
That is then followed by the root model. So that's either our case or process which is generated. And based on that case, it's normally doing multiple iterations through that case itself. So even the small little details in that case are still refined.
Then when you say refined, you actually mean that we're sending out a new prompt with the kind of information that we've built up the context window. We've been enlarging that. We started with the skeleton. And then we add the data model, add the tasks, and all the information. So the context window grows. And that's why sometimes this is also random. You don't know what the response is going to be. It can take a while. As of course, we're recording, so it's going to take a while now, as it always is with kind of these demos. But that's, it's not just one prompt that we're using. We're actually refining the prompts all the time. And making it better to generate more specific models, basically.
And in addition to that, we actually go ahead and create the root model and then create the submodels. And for all of those models, whenever you have a user or human task in there, we are also generating a form. As that results then basically in a lot of different models which we are having in here.
As you can see here, right? I see and the root case, couple of processes, user tasks, right?
Exactly. We see here the case, we see the different steps in there, we see the entries it generated and so on. We then also see the processes which we have over here. They are quite simple in this case, just multiple steps followed by each other. And we can now press the
I didn't have to
import
model this, right? This saves me a lot of time just to get me going or just to give me some inspiration of some canvas I can start with.
Yes, exactly. It's a starting point, and that's actually what is meant to. It's not like you can now run everything and it is going to be a great model. We see here basically the different stages. It gives you ideas what typically can be done in the stages, how the model could look like, and so on.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the system now decided to go fully for optional, right? Everything here is manually activated, which when we did this tryout before, it didn't. So it's you never know what will come up, which is very useful to get inspired.
But what is actually also quite good here within the training, those things have repetition, so you can do those things multiple times. While, for example, in the orientation, it's a one-off thing. You only need to meet the team once. So it also thought a little bit about the steps which needed to be done. And the manual activation here, so the optional thing makes also sense. Maybe you don't need a company overview in your orientation, and you can then completely decide that while the execution. Either you want that or you don't want to have it. That's basically then up to you.
And I heard you said the system has been thinking about it. I think let's be careful not to put thinking in the AI's kind of context. We don't do any kind of a statement here around that, right? It generated something. Cool. All right, let's get to the next step.
Perfect. Now we have here our case model. What else should we generate, Johan?
Let me have a quick look. So what it did is we have an initial documentation, orientation, meet the team, overview of the company, some training, and then feedback and performance reviews. I'm guessing that it's missing something like ordering my equipment, laptop, screen, keyboard, all the stuff. Yeah, something like that.
Probably you work in IT. So let's say plus, we would like to create a new model. And here we have again the option generate. You know that from before. And we have the Open API and Salesforce and also the early access AI. Here it's just generating one model. So we are selecting the model type. And we can say here process or the equipment process, and then we can press submit. And now we only have two steps since it's generating that single model. Right. The first one is initialize, and the second one is basically in progress. Here it's going ahead and generating our process. And that's a really boring process. Fill personal information, provide bank details. We wouldn't like to do that. That is done.
Can I change that somehow?
Yeah, we have here a prompt and we can basically adapt it. So we move the bank details and add a supervisor review, for example.
Yeah.
Let's say we would like to do that. We are switching back to that dialog, which means now it's generating again. Yeah. It's taking the initial process which we have had and then basically adapting it. So, this final review, and then we have a supervisor review.
Yeah.
Then let's say loop back in case the supervisor review is not successful to refine the request.
Okay, cool. This is pretty cool. You're building up this conversation to iterate and refine and enhance your models, right?
Exactly. That is what we are doing here. And it allows us to basically refine it. You could now argue, are you faster modeling that or adapting it? But just imagine somebody who is not that familiar with the the syntax. For them, it's maybe easier to respond here. And we have an exclusive gateway. We can here refine it.
Go back. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. That's really nice. And then we can press import. And then we have here our order equipment process, which we now could integrate or adapt to our need.
Nice, cool.
So the next improvement which we are going to show is around the service registry. The service registry is there for a while. And now in the service model, there's a new type of service model, which is the AI service type. Joram, do you want to tell us a little bit about that service type?
Yeah, that's basically, we've got the REST API, we've got the expression, we've got all kind of abstractions, and this is abstracting away the interaction with the AI service. So at the end of the movie, we're going to show you how you configure these things, but this is an abstraction on top of that configuration. So you can switch out vendors and you don't need to change their models. What we're doing here is actually abstracting away a kind of a preset prompt with your AI service that you offer to your users without giving them the full power of giving them any AI prompt, because that would be quite dangerous. So what you're seeing here is basically there is a prompt that kind of sets the context, the kind of way that the AI service will work. In this case, we are an assistant working in a call center, writing emails, etc. And what we're passing in is some text from our user, but that text is going to be interpreted in the context of the system message, right? We also have a bit of, and that was what Valentin was clicking around, we've got a bit of input and output. So the input is what we feed into the kind of dynamic data that we feed into this prompt, in this conversation. And then the output will be what we want to extract out of this conversation. So we're putting in a name, age, and information, and we're outputting subject and an email text. And of course, you want to test that right now. That's what
exactly. And we can even go ahead and test it here directly in Flowable Design. So we can provide a name. Joram, how old are you?
In my head, I'm 21.
Okay, so let's put in 21 there. And language, you would like to have Dutch, I guess. And car service is due is our email, which we would like to write. Now we have that button here, which is executing it, and it in the background uses a schema of the output. So it's directly responding here with the output. You can see even some emojis in here. That's probably why we entered 21.
Because I'm 21, right?
Yeah.
And indeed, I can understand the language, the text, and it's asking me to get my car serviced, basically. Yeah.
Perfect. So we can also look at that in Flowable work. So I published that already. And when we say now new work, we can say here, generate customer email. We can here now. I'm feeling a little bit older right now that we have just something else. And let's pick English. Car service is due.
Mm-hmm.
And when we press submit now, it is going ahead and do the same generation. And we see here a task basically, which tells us the same kind of content, only in a different way.
Yeah, cool. And of course, now that you have the service and you got the service in your BPM and CMN models, you can model whatever you want. Your imagination is the limitation, as we often say, right? And you can basically, figure out what you want to generate or what you want to use AI for in your models, right?
Exactly. And you can use that service in a process, in a case, but also inside a form, since we have a service button for that.
Yeah, that's true. That's cool.
Now, what we can do as well when we add a document over here, we have now the Flowable Assistant. When we just open that, we have 3 different options. What is the difference between those, Johan?
Yeah, the first one is actually the quite standard way you interact with these ChatGPT kind of services. You're going to go into a conversation with the content of your document. Now, that's a bit simplistic saying you have the whole AI chatbot to your availability, and basically you can have any question within the context of that document. And the document that we've uploaded, and the system's already faster than me explaining it, is a white paper of Flowable about AI. And we've asked it now to summarize it. And it just gave a very short summary. Now, this is a 15, 16 pages kind of document with lots of content. And this just gave me a quick overview. Maybe we can ask a question, something like, what are the benefits of using AI with Flowable?
There you see I'm slow in typing, but I
you
just
can see how
submitted.
this is speeding up your work, that you don't need to go through every of the details of that document. And basically you can see, here you go.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Really cool.
Yeah. And if you go back now in that pop-up, now this was a general ask, there is a translation, right, where you can just translate to any other language. And there's a sentiment analysis that's basically interpreting whether this document is, what kind of vibe does it give you, right? Of course, this is a kind of a marketing document. So it's very optimistic, probably. There's a lot of engagement, satisfaction, and trust. But you can maybe, when you would upload some kind of complaints from a customer or something, then it would, of course, be on the left-hand side here, right, of the
that is really cool.
Yeah, lots of potential here, what you can do to kind of make your life easier.
Indeed. So one important thing Johan already mentioned before is the documentation. And inside the documentation, we have new that AI button.
Yeah. And basically here, there's the classical sections that we have in most of our documentation. The first one being, how do you configure it, right? Because we said you can swap out between, for example, OpenAI, ChatGPT to Claude. Well, that's explained here. And as you can see by the names of the properties, we are using Spring AI. I mean, we talked about it in the previous webinar. And we're building on top of the abstraction there, meaning that we're talking to the interfaces of Spring. We can swap then the vendor out easily. All of the features we showcased today will just work similarly like they work for what we did today. Now, of course, other services are going to give you different kind of results. So, play around with this. It's quite interesting to do that. Now, this is, of course, an important part. This is setup, but there is way more, Valentin.
Yeah, but before we go into that, here also we have always the option how you can use it with the Flowable images, as well as you can do it with your own project. When you use your own project, you don't need to have that application AI type property, but you just can include the Spring dependency. There you can also include the dependency from Spring AI, which we haven't mentioned in here, and try out if that works as well.
Yeah.
Now, I think, Joram, you wanted to go into the details of the documentation which we have over here.
Basically, everything we showcased today, the service registry, how to use that, how you configure it, is written down in that documentation. So if you open it up, Valentin, you can, here we go. All of that is with examples, the kind of AI stuff we showed at the beginning, the app generation is there, and basically the documentation part, right? The document part, sorry. So all of the things we showcased today is explained in way more details in this new documentation. So go ahead and check it and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Valentin. And stay tuned for more articles, videos on everything Flowable. And don't forget to register for Flowfest 24. If you go to the documentation page or you go to flowable.com, you're bound to find a link there to register. It's the event of the year you simply cannot miss. So thank you, Valentin. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
Thank you.